So we're very big advocates of a specific type of marketing called marketing science or marketing effectiveness. I think it is best practiced by or theorized by Ehrenberg Bass. How many of you here know who Ehrenberg Bass is? All right, many of you do. They have these two core concepts. Noah actually introduced me to Ehrenberg Bass, believe it or not, by giving me the book How Brands Grow, which is the Little Red Bible. And I read it and it just changed the way I think about marketing. And specifically, it's a very, I would say, quantitative, rigorous approach to mental and physical availability. My belief around B2B marketing, especially having talked to a lot of B2B marketers all around the globe with LinkedIn, is there's just not enough quantitative rigor. So when you go in and you talk to sales, they're like, get out of here. This is a joke. You know, they call it the marketing department, jokes like that. And there's a real need to market to sales. I think more importantly, I think Vodafone, Amanda, right? I mean, we wrote a paper called Marketing to the CFO, which I think is the single most important idea. And a lot of what we are trying to do is build ultimately, it starts with market research and then it builds marketing plans. But we also ultimately want to get this idea called the marketing finance interface. There's a group in the Netherlands, in Maastricht, that does work on this thing in the marketing finance interface. Marketing academics and finance academics never talk to each other. So they have almost no understanding of their collective worlds, which is honestly, the academic world's no different from the practical world that we live in. But we need to learn to market better to sales, market better to finance. We're trying to build a tool that does that. And it is really, we were doing this type of market research called category entry point analysis, which is really jobs to be done. Why does your customer buy? What does the customer care about? That research would take 3 to 6 months, and it would cost in B2B markets 150 grand or more. So it's very slow. It is very expensive. I would say halfway through last year, like probably many of you in this room, we just ran a very simple test. We had all this incredible market research from Ehrenberg Bass. We went over to GPT and we said, why do people buy LinkedIn Sales Navigator? And it turns out that this elicitation phase, which Ehrenberg Bass will run for you, which will take a full month and it's very painful. You have to set up lots of conversations. GPT can produce it pretty much with 80% accuracy like that. So you've just collapsed something that took a month and a lot of pain down to literally seconds. I think that's a way to think about what AI is going to do. It's just going to accelerate lots of those tasks. And is it perfect? No. But is your current data, is your current process perfect? I think we can all agree no. So what we started to do is say, it's not just as simple as you put, Sales Navigator, why do people buy? That's not exactly how it needs to work, obviously. We need more rigor around that. So what we started to do is think about how do you model out audiences that matter in specific categories? So this is MetLife and life insurance. The way that our system works is you basically go in and you put in a brand. You can see there's all these different brands here. And then when you put in the brand, it will give you the ability to create a panel. This is generally very interesting, actually. It seems very simple, but when you go in and talk to a lot of B2B marketers, they're not even clear which category they're actually in many cases. So the AI will go and it will rank from top to bottom. Here are the categories I believe that you operate in. And you choose a category. So let's say you choose life insurance. What we then do is we then create, and you can filter it to say, just United States, just 18 to 34. You filter it however you want, and then creates a universe of your buyers. This is synthetic data. You can model people incredibly well using AI. There's a paper that looked at Reddit, and it had no understanding of who the people are. They're all anonymous, and it just tries to infer things like age, gender, income, occupation. They can do all of those things with 70% plus accuracy, which is quite extraordinary. So you can model the entire universe of buyers. It's fascinating. Sometimes you get, we use open source images, so sometimes you get celebrities here. I actually don't see any celebrities in this one, but you can see lots of very interesting images. The next thing we do is we start to give you more detail on who these people are. So if you are a B2C marketer, you're going to care more about demographics, obviously. Like the joke we always used to make was, you're selling toothpaste, you want to sell it to everyone who has teeth, right? That's all that you care about here is just like, how old are they? How big is the family? All that kind of stuff. In our world, in B2B, it's very different. It's firmographics that are important. We are shameless cloners when it's helpful to us. And so we just cloned the LinkedIn taxonomy because I think it's a pretty good taxonomy. And number two, it's very easy to plug into media. But, things like, what's your job title? What industry are you in? What company size are you in? And you can go through to any of these people and you can see there's all sorts of folks who would buy life insurance, from chief financial officers to employee benefits coordinators to estate lawyers. And we can just ask the marketing coordinator, since we're all marketers here. And if we ask Samantha, list 3 reasons. You probably have all seen stuff like this, but you'd buy life insurance. I can't type, but it doesn't really matter because these things are very good at understanding even if you can't type. You'll get some sort of answer from these people. So you can go in and listen, there are a lot of ways to make this smarter and sharper, but you can go in and talk to any customer, and the customer stays in this persona you create. So Samantha will talk about marketing consumer goods as a person who's, in Minneapolis. If you say, did you vote for Trump, right? She's going to say, which I really like, we call these impersonas because they're impersonating a person who's taking a survey or having a conversation with you. She'll say, I'm not going to talk about this. This is a survey around marketing. This is not a conversation around politics. So, we have personas in the past world. We have impersonas now that impersonate whoever you want. So we create all these very rich profiles, and anybody can go in and talk to these people as much as you want. I actually had a really interesting conversation with an impersona a couple of days ago. I was trying to understand ServiceNow's business is huge and sprawling and has 9 different categories. I know nothing about IT service management. So I go in and I start talking to, I think it was either a VP or a CTO. I said, where does IT service management sit in your org? They said, it sits over here. I said, would this kind of role be a person who reports to you? Like, no, I would never deal with that person. That person's 2 levels below me. So you can actually talk to these people and understand the org chart, who responds, who reports to who. I mean, it's really interesting how you could talk to somebody who's fake for half an hour and learn a ton about a category you know absolutely nothing about. I mean, there's obviously implications for... listen, it's not perfect, as I said, but you can actually, a lot of times we'll go in and just show people in this category, does the composition of male and female look right? Does the distribution of industries look right? And it generally is a simple sanity check on the quality of the information. You can go in and talk to people. We often say, talking is believing. You go in and talk to somebody. If you understand that category, you'll understand based on the conversation. You are getting the average response generally, but that's pretty good for most categories. But it's not perfect, and it makes mistakes. But this isn't a substitute for thinking. It's not artificial intelligence, it's augmented intelligence. So really think of this as, I think Copilot is a good metaphor. This is a thing that every CMO should use to sense check decisions. And you still need to make decisions, by the way, but this is clearly something that has only become more and more pronounced over time. One other thing that we do, which I like, we do many other things, but I like the idea of also, in the Ehrenberg-Bass conception of the world, you do what's called mass marketing, which means you market to the entire market. This is just an overall view in life insurance. The split by male, female. Again, this is limited just to North America. We give description of all this information, age distributions, income distributions. This is where I kind of think it gets fun for B2B. The different categories you'd want to think about. And this is a huge difference in traditional market research versus synthetic research. You've all done market research. It's a very slow and painful process. And if you make a mistake, there's no way to correct that mistake. If you said to me, I want to talk to people in IT, just in the construction industry at just big companies. And then 5 minutes later, you came back to me, or a week later, you came back to me and said, I don't want to do that anymore. It's not about cybersecurity. Now it's about commercial payments. You come back to me, we just update the code and rerun it, and you get it again in an hour. So the flexibility, and in some ways, the ability to avoid mistakes or iterate is, I think, what is really quite exciting, is a real revolution. The cost, the speed, the flexibility is all very cool.